Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. I'm sure for a lot of you it's still sleepy time, and for a lot of you it's either really early or you're probably at work or something like that. But you can always watch the show later. So today we're gonna do a little bit of the weekly roundup. Just we're gonna have a look at things that are happening, things that happened, stuff like that. Hey, Fangbo, hello there. Actually, I wonder. Okay. Apparently I can't chat, but apparently I can see it. I wonder if I could add a chat bubble or a talk bubble. Let me just see something quickly. Hello. No, that doesn't work. No, I added a little chat box to the chat now. I didn't add it to the stream, so you can't see it, but I can at least see what you guys are writing. So, but I mean, I guess I can just talk. If I can see it, I can just talk. I don't need to type, do I? So yeah, so we're gonna have a little bit of a look at what happened in the last week or so. Just some interesting events that finished and or started, and some games that were interesting to watch. So our first game for the day and our first tournament for the day that we're gonna have a look at is the World Team Championship that finished. China was the deserved winners. They really did what needed to be done. When it came to it. They played Russia in the second last round and they beat them. They were trailing Russia at that time by half a team match. So I think they had 11 points and Russia had 12. So yeah, so in these matches again, it counted 2 points for a win, 1 point for a draw. Is that how it worked? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how it worked. Yeah. Yes, and then of course, if it was equal scores, then they look at the overall score of the teams versus teams. So you needed 2.5 out of 4 to win a match. So so our first game we are going to look at is the top Chinese player Ding Liren versus Ponomaryov. Just a little random something about Ponomaryov. It's the first time in since I've known the guy really that he's dropped under the 2700 club. So doesn't seem like things are going so well for him, but I'm sure he'll be back up and running very quickly. Ding Liren, on the other hand, I mean, this guy, he's top 10 in the world already now. Just crazy. I mean, this guy is just consistently climbing and climbing and climbing. So the game, we'll look at it from White's point of view because Ding was White. So yeah, so it ended up being a Najdorf. So let's see. I like the reason why I picked the game was for the following, and of course just for the pure accuracy of White's play here. Black plays knight g4 and white goes bishop c1, which is really funny. So black goes back, and then of course you could play bishop e3 again, and you could have a perpetual as early as move 7. So here white decides to change his mind and he plays f3. So he could have just played f3 first. In this position he could have just played f3. So we gain a little bit of time on the clock and we play f3. So now normal game, e5, knight b3, bishop goes there. We just develop pieces and g4. Okay, so this is quite a more interesting, fun way to attack on the king side, obviously, for white, and black obviously wants to do the same on the queen side. So knight b6 with the idea of knight c4, standard Sicilian ideas that we looked at in the endgame portion of the road to the gym. Okay, so g5, knight goes to h5, queen d2, bishop e7, castle, castle, and strangely enough, this king on the king's side seems to be okay. I don't think there is any big immediate dangers toward, for this king at least at this point. The big problem, of course, as always in Sicilians, is this pawn, this weak pawn here. And you'll quickly see in the game that once that thing does fall, then the whole center just comes apart. And that can be quite disastrous. So here, obviously rook c8, it's quite standard. Rook g1, I mean obviously he wants to try and get an attack going, so something like bishop e2 and f4 would be nice. g6, obviously stopping any sacrificial ideas as well, and of course there's weird ideas maybe with knight d5, there's g6 sacrificing as well, so just these kind of things that one has to try and be careful of. G6 maybe maybe bishop g5 to follow, and if we can just try and attack that knight, we can maybe get something going. So g6 is played to just prevent you from doing anything from there on. So queen f2, just attacking the knight on b6, of course. So we got that attack now. And then knight c4, the usual place for the knight, because now in most cases, of course, you'd have to trade off your bishop for the knight, your light squared bishop for the knight. And then, of course, it's much harder to attack this knight now. So that becomes one of the nice blockading ideas. But of course, the knight on h5 is not doing much either. So you can't attack, but the knight is out of play. So we take it, rook takes, and knight d5. So finally, here white starts playing towards hitting the d6 square. So bishop takes, rook takes, b5, h4. It's all just, kind of standard moves. I mean, he wants to be able to play h5 once that knight moves. So f6. This is where things get a little bit messy. I think f5 was the better move to play straight away. Because here he just doesn't have to take. He just goes back queen d2. So if you played f5 on the other hand, then you put pressure on e4. And of course you want him to take, because then his h4 pawn looks really, really bad as well. So f5 was definitely the much stronger move. You also have ideas with f4 if he doesn't do anything, and then knight g3 even. So f5 definitely, I think, would have been a much better move for black here. It looks weird, I will admit, but there is nothing to fear from a kingside point of view or this diagonal point of view, because the white squared bishop is off. So, okay, f6 was played, queen d2, because now he just wants to play bishop takes g5 once the pawn takes on g5, because the d6 pawn is the target. So bishop takes, rook takes f, takes, and takes. Now suddenly you can see that this king is starting to look a little bit awkward. There's lots of squares here for the big pieces to come into, so guy has to be very, very careful. So he plays rook f7 to drop back, try and help defend. Now we start gobbling up pawns. Now what I find interesting about this position is that it becomes a race between the queenside pawns and the kingside pawns. The only problem here is that all black's pieces is on the king side. Okay, so after the move like that, there. Okay, there we go. So now you can see all black's pieces is on the king side. Okay. And the problem with this is that his king obviously is still exposed as well, okay, because there's a lot of open files and open diagonals towards the king. And then the other problem is that, if he wants to get his pawns rolling, has to make his king even more weak. Whereas white's position is very solid, the three pawns connected, they work very easily together. I mean, a4, a5, a6, what are you going to do about it? I'm just going to shove this pawn up the board, and there's not much you can do about it, because you can't do the same. Because your king is very, 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 very loose. So that's just from here. I think it's from here that Ding Liren this guy just plays computer move after computer move after computer move, every move here until the end of the game. So knight f4, a4, very good move, just starting to rush the pawn. e4, trying to obviously get his pawn going as well, but like I said, the problem is that one pawn cannot do all the work. So rook a8 check, king goes to g7, and rook e8. Now, of course, this pawn is suddenly starting to look very, very sad. The queen doesn't have very many good squares to go to, so it goes to a7, because obviously I want to try and take a4 if you're going to take any of my pawns. So queen e5 check. Now you can start seeing how this king starts looking very, very sad here. We got all these diagonals and squares covered here. So king h6, now the king has to start running up here, queen check, king here, and then we take. So first we just maneuvered around a little bit just to get the king even a little more loose, and obviously to have threats. So now we're protecting our pawn, and we are just threatening the rook as well. So rook h8, queen g3, obviously, because he has to protect this rook as well, by the way, just in case anybody wasn't noticing. So if we just go back a little bit as well, you'll notice that after that, the rook is hanging. So that's why everything happens with check. So queen check, check, and then he takes, because the queen now defends on g1. Okay, after that, queen e1. I mean, in all fairness, I mean, obviously these moves are logical because the only square the queen can still go to protect the rook is on e1. So fine, that is not exactly the most impressive thing ever. Okay, now black tries to centralize his pieces because his king is looking a little awkward. And now, of course, we just start bringing in the knight as well. So, of course, the queen can't take here now because of the discovered check. King h3, rook f6. Say what now? Oh, okay, you want to go back and you want to go rook f6. Rook f6 runs into the obvious rook e7 check. So no, it's not going to go down so well. So you can see how black's king is actually very badly placed. So yeah, in this case, actually you'll just lose a queen completely. Okay, I guess he just has to take. No, you lose a lot more, don't you? You lose actually a whole queen for free, because even after takes, you still lose this rook or that one because of the skewer. So that's the disaster idea. So no. So just let's go back forward. All of this is forced, and now of course the knight comes in and helps the party, because now you can suddenly see that this piece and this piece is not quite helping the defense yet, whereas all of these pieces are now attacking on the king side. Okay. So, queen b6, trying to play with the cheapo of knight c3. Okay, wants to go there for the rook. a5, because now if you do play knight c3 check, I can just take it, because your queen is hanging as well. So knight c3, queen takes, and then I just take your queen. So queen has to drop back, the knight goes to e6 check, just to obviously force the king to go onto a square that will help us be able to check. So if it goes in the back rank, then e6 is e8 is an issue. And of course there's another threat as well, which things just go apart quickly now, is knight d8. So after king there, knight d8, you can quickly see how this is falling apart. Queen goes to b5, rook check. So all he wants to do is, he wants to make sure everything is checks. King goes here, queen e5 check, and black resigned. This was enough for him. He didn't want to see any more. He had enough, sir. He had enough. I'm just having a quick look here if there's a quick mate for us here. So, rook f6. I mean, I just want to know what happens if we play rook f6, of course. Knight check. Ooh, is there mates here? Gotta be careful not to get mated here. Oh, okay. There is this check here. Well, we're still okay for now. Maybe king f7. Check. Sorry. Check. King e7. Yeah, of course. If the king goes to h6, then it's mate. Yeah, queen g5. So that's why I'm trying to run out this way to see if I can run. I'm putting my running shoes on here. But surely we can just win the queen. Yeah, that looks fairly fine. There's no threats, is there? Knight. Oh, there is a threat. There's knight here check threat. So we gotta be careful, I guess. Gotta be a little careful. So that doesn't help. We do have a discover check, I guess, huh? So what happens if we just go discover check here or there? Obviously, just winning the queen. That looks fair, doesn't it? So now we just win the queen. There's no way to stop this. He has to take this rook, and then we just win the queen. Win the queen. There we go. So that does look like we just win lots of material, of course. And his king is still awkward. You know, he's not going anywhere. So yeah, so after queen e5, it just seems like it's done. Yeah. I just don't see it. Again, king h6, of course, same thing. It's also a mate with the knight. Okay. Just a little finish on that one. So yeah, I mean, the Chinese team, they were just really dominant. I don't think they lost many games. You know, just really impressive. Here's a little picture for you guys of the team winning eventually. So if you don't know who the players are, you know, Come on, guys. You need to read your news and get the faces in your heads, guys. So it's Yu Yang Yi on the left-hand side, and the guy holding the trophy is Li Chao. And then we have Ding Liren on the third player from the left, and then on the far right we have Wei Yi, the youngster. A little special mention should be made for the youngster there, because he is really, really steadily climbing up the ladders here. You know, we all knew about him as a child prodigy, obviously. You know, I mean, he's still young. He's 18 years old now, and I think he's number 20 in the world now. You know, but you don't notice him. You know, he's just kind of like creeping up slowly. You know, just like blip, 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 because he was in the 2700 club, and he kind of like like dropped out and dropped in and dropped out again. So you didn't take notice. But now he's 2740 almost, just steadily climbing. Every time I look at him, he's like 20 points higher. He just keeps on going. So soon he will overtake. Well, that's my prediction. We'll see if he can. See if he can overtake the other two Chinese players above him, which is Yu Yang Yi and obviously Ding Liren, who is on top form right now and still young as well. I mean, Ding is also. I mean, he's what, like 23, 24. I mean, what is this? These guys are so young and they're just so brilliant. Ding, I have to admit, I guess he's just extremely solid. He's like a Krumnik or an Anant. So maybe, world championship candidate. I'm not sure about that, but steady, yeah, steady. Okay, let's have let me just give a little special mention here to the ladies team as well from Russia. I like the little dresses they had on. They look all cute and stuff. For those of you who don't know who they are, I don't know either. I'm just joking. I know some of them. Goryashninka is on the second from the right. She is the young one in the team, but she's doing really well lately. On the right of Sergei Rublevsky, he's the coach. He's been the coach for the female team for friggin' ever now, okay? And he's also a fairly strong player. I mean, he's in general a 2700 solid player, but he definitely seems to focus on coaching the female team. Yeah, I mean, I can't remember all the females' names. Pagonia looks like one of them. Lano is one of them. One of the sisters is in there. So yeah, I don't really follow the women that much. Even though they're all quite cute. Maybe a future wife in there somewhere. You never know. You never know. Okay, now let's move on to the next game, which came from. Wait a minute. Did the picture actually show? My bad. You guys didn't see it. That's my bad. I gotta show the picture. There you go. I forget that I have to actually click the transition button, otherwise you don't get to see it. So there's the team. But like I say, the guy in the middle is the coach. I mean, this guy's got so many trophies, it's disgusting. I don't even know why he still bothers. And then I also showed you guys. Let me just pop down and give you guys the Chinese team. There we go. That's the Chinese team. So we had Yu Yang Yi on the left. We had Li Chao on with the trophy in his hand. Then the next guy is Ding Liren, and then Wei Yi, the youngster. Although they're all young. Li Chao, I think, is the oldest. He's probably about 25, 26, which is sad, but anyway. And then you have Yu Yang Yi, who's like 22, Ding Liren, like 23, and Wei Yi, who is 18 years old. Cool. Okay. Let me just go back. There we go. Okay, let's pop on to the next game, which comes to us. Do I want to save this? Okay, let me just save this. There we go. The next game comes to us from the. Let me just pop it down. There we go. Comes from the obvious, the Grand Chess Tour. Okay. I mean, this. What can we say about this tournament? I mean, this was just Carlsen all the way. He didn't do as great in the Rapid as he did in France, in Paris, but in the Blitz, man, this guy just went on a killing spree. 14 and a half out of 18. Now, I know, like yesterday night, Yermo and whoever was with him, they were saying that this was considerably weaker from a blitz point of, or well, just a general rating point of view, which is kind of true. But I do think that with blitz, obviously you can't just say that because okay, I mean Jababa, okay, shame. I mean I feel bad for the guy. He had a really horrific tournament. Um, but still, I mean, Carlson was just completely dominant in this. So the game I picked from him was his game against Legrave MVL. I mean, this was just coffee house chess, or as I like to call it, champagne chess. You just have a glass of champagne and you're just like, whatever happens, happens. Let's do this. So, for those of you who didn't see this, obviously, well, I'm sure all of you have. Uh, so we have this G4 move. Okay. Well, this is really nice. I've tried stuff like this before as well. I have a lot of lines that I play G4, of course. Yeah, and Fangbo, the thing is, I mean, you'll start noticing that G4 is popping up everywhere, in all kinds of lines everywhere. I mean, I had a lovely game again last night with G4 against some, random dude in the Dutch, with the G4 line. So, I mean, this G4 stuff is just popping up everywhere. Okay, so Bishop b5 was played. Just a little mention here that h6 has been played before. Bishop g2, d6, and h3. So this has been played, and I'm pretty sure it was played by Richard Rapport from Hungary. He's also a crazy lad, that one, but we love him too because he definitely plays fun chess. Okay, so bishop b4. I think, visibly, I think Vasher Legrave was just really, really rattled here because I don't think he was expecting this from the world champion, which I would like to point out is something really cool for me as well, because that just shows you that the world champion can change gears. I mean, going from, okay, I'm leading the tournament, all I need to do now is playing solid, and he do this, and I mean, Legrave obviously was looking for a fight, but I think he would have preferred to be playing a slow game and try and hope for Magnus to overpush. Where here it's just nuts, you know what I mean? So now you don't get that feeling of, okay, I can just relax, just play solid, and see if Magnus wants to be pushy. Where now it's like, okay, wait, Magnus is just shoving at me. If I don't do anything, he's gonna destroy me. So okay, g5, bishop takes, and b takes. I like this. There is a line where if you take here, then bishop a5 takes and rook g8. This actually seems to favor black. I would agree with this. There are quite a few lines where you play e5, and they also get to play d4, and then you take and they take, and you take and they take on d2 check, and then they play rook g8. And most of the lines where you have this like setup here with the rook on g8, it's favorable for black. Most of the lines. Okay, so let's just show. So after b takes c3, knight goes back to g8. I mean, when you have to make decisions like that, then something is going funky. d4, I like this because at this point, obviously, he's playing for the center. So queen takes pawn, d5, and d6. I mean, this is just beautiful. Just fantastic chess idea here. So, because now the idea is that if you do obviously take it and I play queen takes, I can play bishop a3, play my bishop to here to keep control over this d6 square and this diagonal, which could become quite a bit of a problem. So c6, I mean, this is a tough decision. I don't know if I would have made that decision. I think I would have preferred to just take the pawn. Yeah, I honestly, I would have taken the pawn. Because, I think still it's better to suffer this way than the way he did. So knight f3, queen f5, and rook g1 attacking the pawn. Then knight e6, and now e4. I mean, here, in the interview that they had with Carlson, they asked him about this e4. Maurice Ashley asked him about this. And, like he said, I mean, this is the point where he feels like he's already burned his bridges, so the only way now is to continue. You got to continue using what you do have in the position, and it's all about this. It's all about keeping that trapped in there and using all of your pieces against what's left. So, technically speaking, black is down a rook and a bishop. That's it. So white is down 2 pawns materially, literally, but black is down those 2 pieces for the whole game. By the time they come out, it's too late. So e4, queen has to pretty much take this thing. Bishop e3. Now we are threatening bishop d3 with the obvious trapping of the queen. So the queen has to go out again. Knight g5. So knight g5 is a very practical decision because obviously this knight is pretty much the defense of the whole black's position right now. I do wonder, I mean, g6 now does look like a move, doesn't it? Because, you know, if he takes on e6, we do have options. So let's just look at g6. I mean, obviously, again, practically speaking, it's so hard to play like this because, okay, like they show here, bishop here, queen there, queen e2, just, you know, keeping nice and steady because we want a castle, obviously, or just play king d2 and bring the other rook in. They show knight f4 as an option, or knight takes g5, rook takes e4, bishop there, takes, king, and there. Now this will definitely once again just be better for white because black cannot get out. None of these pieces can move. Okay, you can't play knight f6 because of the obvious check on e7. So I mean, what, knight h? I mean, come on, where are we going here? You know. So this does look disastrous. And of course, we still have this. You know, this is the whole point of this, is to have that. So this wouldn't have worked much better. And then also, of course, I'm just looking at why, you know, why he has to play e4. He doesn't, but if he doesn't, you probably play bishop d4 anyway. Yeah, bishop d4 or f4 even, maybe. Does look like all of these options are possible. So, and if knight f4, then bishop take traffic jam on the queen side. Yeah, exactly, shame. And then if knight f4 takes, queen takes, rook g4, queen goes back, and f4. Queen takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, queen e7, knight knight e4, and now we're heading to d6. So this is basically the best black could have done. Now, you know you're in trouble if this is the best black could do, okay? He's probably going to have to sacrifice, maybe play d5. Yeah, maybe play d5. Oh, maybe not, huh? Maybe d5 doesn't work either. I don't know, man. This looks horrifyingly bad. I would definitely want to be white here. White is still down 2 pawns, though. You know, you have to take that in consideration. If black can finally eventually get loose and get out, and not, you know, bleed any more material or anything, then he is 2 pawns up. Okay, so let's go back. So g6 was the brutal, cold-hearted way to try and hold here. But knight f4 does look logical because you want to trade off some pieces, you know. So after takes, rook g4, queen f6, knight e4, queen h6, and queen f3. Okay, so queen f3 must happen just because f5 was an obvious threat. Okay, so this is now the critical position once again. Here black plays knight f6, which is considered a mistake, but not necessarily. The better move was g6 once again. And after queen g3, just attacking the e5 pawn, nice and simple. Queen g7, defending the pawn, of course. Rook g5, attacking the pawn, of course. And then, what happened? I clicked on something. Huh? Sorry, let me just, oh, okay, sorry. And now you're gonna have to make some decision like f6 maybe? I mean, is this really something you want to get into? Can you play f6? Maybe. I don't like it, but maybe. This looks painful to watch. Absolutely painful. Well, I mean, maybe you hold, you know, f6. I mean, can we sacrifice more? I just want to keep going, sir. I don't think so. Don't think we can sacrifice more. Maybe. Take it. Knight takes. Rook takes check. King goes where? D8. Yeah, but you know, he's gonna survive this. Maybe rook e7. Queen f8 apparently. I think he's gonna be okay. Maybe we castle now. Yeah, maybe we castle now. Maybe we still have this bind, you know? Because again, I mean, he's not developing anything, okay? Or pretty much nothing. You know, this knight has no good squares. I mean, where's it really gonna go? We're not scared of that thing. So, I mean, maybe this is still a nice little bind we've got here. Now, of course, we just need to get in there. So maybe something like c5, bishop c4, the other rook comes in, you know, and then rook f7 and the other rook on e7. I mean, it is possible that we could maybe sack. But I would not want to be black here. I'm not going to lie to you. So g6 maybe was the more brutal way to hold as well, but I mean after knight f6 and rook takes g7, which is beautiful. Apparently, rook takes g7 is not the best move. The best move was just to take, and play c5, because the problem is after that bishop c5, c4. The problem is all of these queenside pawns are going to fall anyway. We're going to enter here. We're going to put the other rook behind it by playing king d2. You know, so let's say something like that. King d2. I mean, where is he going? He's not going anywhere. Because holding on to these pawns here on the queen side is not going to happen. You know, if he plays rook like here, we play king here. You know, we can just survive here because the bishop is still stuck. That has always been the game plan. We just keep that bishop stuck in there. And you know, after something like, I mean, we can play rook g7, we can play f4, rook e1. You know, we just keep going. We just keep going, because this king is still stuck here. It's still a beautiful stucking position. This bishop is covering this. Apparently, I mean, according to the computer, of course, this would just be a dominating endgame anyway. You know, he's gonna have to lose a lot of pawns, and of course, he's just gonna lose just like he did in the game. So, but I mean, rook g7 gets points for beauty. I mean, it's just stunning. So here again, best defense was king f8. I mean, you know, you try and play like that. That's just crazy. And after rook g3, knight takes, queen takes d6. Obviously, he has finally freed himself of that problem. After queen here, king goes back to defend on d8, and rook there, queen e7, queen takes, pawn takes, and king there with that, and d6. And if you play there. So now we are up a pawn for black, and black has now finally able to get this bishop out. So this would have been actually better for black. White still has activity, of course, but you know, look at the pawn structure. They're all isolated pawns. So so black would definitely have probably be winning here. So king f8. I mean, who the hell is gonna move king f8? I mean, who plays a move like that? Only a computer can make a move like that. Maybe if you have an hour and a half on your clock, maybe you can find that. But I mean, this is ridiculous. So after queen takes, knight takes check, king there, and queen f5, threatening the obvious queen e5. Black had to play rook e8, sacrifice the material back, and takes, and then c5. So here I personally, I mean, I was watching the game live as well. I preferred castling because it makes sense. I mean, why wouldn't we just get our rook into the game quickly with the idea of rook e1 and f4? Well, it's nice and simple, isn't it? Nothing really for us to stress about. Okay, so I just want to look at something. Okay, anyway, yeah, so he played c5. Okay. And then oh, I see we're behind a little bit here. Oh, okay, there's a few lines here. Okay. So after c5, black could have played queen g6. Takes, queen e6 and f4. Apparently this would just be good again because we still have the bind. We always still have this bind. That's what it's all about. That's the whole game. Even if he trades off queens, we're still going to get bishop d3. The rook's going to come to the g file, and we're still going to win probably both of these pawns on the king side. The f7 and h7 pawns are most likely going to die, and then we're just 2 pawns up. So that's the basic idea here. You could have played b6. I look at b6 as well. After c5, b6. castle alongside, and if he takes pawn, we still play rook d1 now because we want to get the rook to the g file as quickly as possible. So king f8 is an option, rook h7. Now we just target this pawn. This is now our target. We're going to come from it from all of the angles. We're going to hit that pawn. So rook h7, and of course now what? He can't play king f7. If he plays h6, let's say, then still bishop here. And of course we're threatening just to play we move our king, like let's say king c2, and then rook takes h6 is also a nice little option. Do we have any other immediate threats as well? I guess we could just play rook f3 as well. How's he going to survive this? Again, if we can just win all the pawns, then, you know, we're winning this endgame anyway. Okay. Let's go back. b5 was played by black, and then bishop d3, obviously. f6. Here, he played king e2. I also, you know, I thought castling or just king d2. Because I wasn't worried about trading off. Again, I'm never stressed about trading off any pieces here. So if he goes queen g5, we take it, we go rook e1, and of course, you know, again, dead, dead, dead. They're all going to die. There's no way you're saving those pawns. It's not going to happen. Because it takes you too long to get out from the queen side. So let's say you go, oh, yay, we got our bishop out. Take, check. King goes, I don't even know where. Maybe here. Then we go check here. So I mean, this just that's dead. That's dead. That's dead. They're all dead. So no. So trading of queens is not an issue here. King. Okay, so he played king e2 because he didn't want to swap off queens. Now king f7 and now rook h1. Now this is a beautiful move because he knows the only way to get his rook onto the g file is if he can get his king to f1 to support the rook on g1. So, you know, obviously rook h1 with the idea of king f1, which is really pretty. So rook b8, king f1, queen g6 now, queen f3, obviously just attacking the queen, and queen h6. Now he goes back here. I just wanted to see if there was any ideas of taking on, oh no, of course not, you can't take on h2. If you take on h2, I just play rook h1 again, so my bad. Bishop goes to a6, queen g4, threatening on d7. So rook d8 protecting that. Then rook g3. e4. I mean, it's just a little bit of desperation. We take it. Rook e8. We go back to g4. Our king is perfectly safe because it can hide on g2. So bishop goes back, defending the pawn again. And king g2. Now all that needs to be done is to trade off pieces. Well, you know, the queen's coming off is not an issue because there's pawns hanging everywhere. I mean, we can win all these pawns so easily. The h pawn, the f pawn, they're all problematic. So queen g5 was played, queen f3, and then he played queen d5. I had a look at queen takes c5 as an option, but after bishop c2, because we just want to get onto this diagonal now. I mean, this king is trapped here. There's no way for him to get out of this. So if he plays queen takes d6, queen check, king goes here, and bishop p3. This is just devastating. I mean, even if he plays something like rook e6, we just play queen takes. We go check immediately first. Is there a mate maybe? Faster mate? Maybe there is. Yeah, there is. A queen h6 check, yeah. Because now the king has to go wherever. Doesn't really matter. But he can hunt. He can run. He can run. He can run. I don't want him to run. That's why I figured maybe we just play queen takes h. Check. Seems logical. Just queen takes h7. I mean, what's he going to do about this? He's dead. He can't check anywhere. And rook g8 is a big fat mate. What's he going to do about that? So that's done. So he couldn't play that. So he played queen d5. And of course, after the trades, winning the pawn, threatening on g6. Rook goes here. f4, rook check, king f1, rook takes h2, check. There. Now all that remains, of course, because now watch this, just note all the squares that are covered. Okay? So we're still threatening mates. I mean, there was still this mating net idea here. So now the black rook has to come back to h8, and that gives us freedom to just run up the board. So the king just comes up all the way, it just runs all the way to c5. You know, you play c6, you take, you play c5, you eat pawns, you have a freaking meal. It's a fun day, boys, fun day. So yeah, so I mean Magnus Carlsen just on a killing spree here. Obviously I saw that there was a big fun party going on about that picture that the one chickie put up. It's not this one, of course, but it was a really good picture. I mean, just capturing Maurice Ashley's face in the mirror of that plate that he got. That was really really cool. Just want to see what the picture is on that thing. Okay, well. So who's this old dude? I mean, who's this old dude? Wesley So looks like he's crying in the back. Is he crying? He looks like he's crying in the background. Shame. Poor kid. He came second though, didn't he? Yeah, he came second. Well, I mean, he won it last year, so better luck next time. Okay, let's get out of here. Finish with that picture. Okay, and then that brings us to our next tournament, which is actually still ongoing. Oh yeah, I actually wanted to maybe show. Oh. I can. Let's see. Let me just show you this quickly. Uh, oh, I did put it somewhere. Where did I put this? Let me just add a image for you guys real quick. What was this? Results. Oh, never mind. Come on. Results. So we're talking about the World Open that is happening right now. I did get the results after round 5, I think it was. So let me just grab it quickly. I did put it in here somewhere. Don't know why I didn't put it on my stream already. No, that's Spring Classic results. Bleh. There it is. That's the one. Okay, let me just transition that for you. Okay, so here you guys can have a look at some of the players. It's not it's not like the super strongest tournament we've ever seen in our lives, obviously, but Le Quang Lim is playing from Vietnam. I mean, he's a 2700. Jeffrey Xiong, he's playing as well. He's the second seed, and then you got quite a couple of 2600 GMs that are really really strong. I wanted to just show you guys a real quick draw. Wasn't really that long a game, but from one of our African players. Who the reason why I wanted to show this is because this guy, he was around as a youngster. He was pretty good, and he was around for quite a while. He is an international master, but he never really got better because of living in Africa. The opportunities are just so far and few between. Mandiza Farai is the guy's name, and he now lives in America. And you can just see what the exposure has done for the guy. So far in the tournament, he's got. I mean, this is after round 5. He's got 4 out of 5. Yeah, he's got 4 out of 5. He's got 3 points out of 4 against GMs in the last 4 rounds. So the first round he beat, he was the seed, so he won. And then he played against a 25-80 GM and he won. Then he played another 25-30 GM and he won. Then he played against Jeffrey Xiong, the second seed, and he drew, which is the game we're going to have a look at. And then he played against another GM, another 2600 GM, and he drew. So just really solid, playing good chess, and it's all because of the exposure. If we could just get more GMs to play against, then of course, our chess will improve. Okay, let's pop that down again, transition, and then let's have a quick look at that game. Let me just replace this as well. There we go. There we go. That was the game. Sorry. There we go. Okay. So Jeffrey Xiong is white here, and Mandiza Farai is black here. Okay. This is round 4 of the World Open. The World Open is always an interesting tournament as well because there's lots of prize money, even in the weaker sections. Like the under 2200, under 1200. There's decent prize money in all of them. So here. It's a bit of a funny line as well. It's almost something I would play, except I don't play it with c4. So Jeffrey Xiong is white. So after bishop d2, bishop e7, bishop g2, c6. So we have a standard Slav setup for black. What I will note about Jeffrey Xiong in this game is that he seems like he just doesn't have any plan. Which, I mean, 2660 GM playing as a 2300 IM, you should have a plan here. It's almost like he just, wasn't really there. So rook d1, b6, obviously to get the bishop out. Bishop goes to c7. Bishop a6, attacking the pawn. Knight there, which is cute, okay. And then rook c8, pawn takes, and knight to c6. And then Mandiza finds a really cute little defensive move, which I like, because the queen on c2 is hanging as well. So the queen is hanging here, so we don't really have to worry about the fact that he wants to take our queen on d8. Technically speaking, his knight will be trapped, so he has to be careful as well. So he plays bishop b5, just attacking the knight and forcing him to do something. So now he plays knight takes e7 check because he doesn't have much of a choice. The other way around, he just traps his own knight, most likely. He might be able to get out, maybe, but it doesn't look pretty. And of course the e-pawn is hanging as well. That pawn would be hanging as well. So if he does take here, we just take here, and now the knight would have to go to b7, otherwise he's going to trap himself, and then we can just start eating pawns. That pawn's hanging, that pawn's hanging. The knight still looks very awkward there anyway. Yeah, it's actually still trapped, isn't it? Even if it does go to d6, we play something like bishop a6 again, and the knight's still trapped. So careful, careful. So bishop b5, I like this cute little move. So knight takes e7, queen takes e7, and now he has to move his queen. So queen, well, he moves knight c3. He plays a5, goes rook to obviously, get onto the c file. Bishop just drops back because there are threats. Queen d1, a6, h6, just obviously giving himself an escape square, stopping any pins with bishop g5. Bishop f3 as well now, preventing the move knight h5. And then rook d8, just getting the rook on the potential open file eventually, because e4 looks like something that you want to play for white. Queen b3, rook c4, knight b5. Obviously now he is blocking the defense, okay, and attacking the rook. But it turns out that this is not so great. This is actually where Mandiza finds a really nice little move here to take control over the game, because funny enough, his pieces are very strong. All of his pieces are already focused on the center. I mean, this rook is obviously doing its job down here. This rook is already focused down here. This knight is attacking central squares. This knight is attacking central squares. And the queen is also down here as well. So all the pieces is hitting down here. This bishop is on a decent diagonal. It's still better than this one, because this bishop doesn't look so great. This bishop is playing a defensive role mostly. And of course the bishop is just stuck to this pawn. So the bishop on a6 is better than the bishop on f3. So here he opens up the position. He plays e5. Okay, so there's quite a few reasons why you want to do this, of course. The knight on b5 will be hanging. So if we play something like, okay, he has to take, he doesn't have a choice, so he takes and knight takes. Okay, so now you can see now the rook is hopping down here. It's really nice. This knight is now defending the rook on c4. Okay, so now it's also threatening a take over here. And of course the queen is now also loose here as well. Suddenly we have some queenie open as well. Okay, so suddenly all black's pieces are now just open, free to do what they want. A variation like this doesn't work, just so you can see it. Queen takes, rook takes, and pawn takes. Now his knight's hanging, so he doesn't win a pawn, he just loses a piece actually in this variation. So it's a cute little idea, so that doesn't work anymore. So after queen takes here, you'd have to move your knight. Does not look pretty, I'm not gonna lie. So knight c3 looks like the only real option, and then rook b4. So now you can suddenly start seeing how these pieces are just smashing through here. d4 is a move next. I mean, we're just coming forward now, and there's nothing that white can do about it, because white's pieces are a little bit passive. This bishop is not so great. So the funny thing is, after knight takes e5, Jeffrey Shung offered him a draw, because Jeffrey Shung realized that he was in trouble, and this guy is playing good chess right now. So it's just a really, really funny thing that, you can put a 2660 on the back foot, so easily, because white just didn't really have much of a plan. It seemed like he was kind of playing mostly reactive chess, which Jeffrey Shung seems to do. He doesn't seem to, from the games I've seen lately from him, he doesn't seem to really, be sitting down there and finding the nitty-gritty assessment of the position and playing the game. He seems to be reactive. He's like, okay, you're doing that. Let me see if I can stop that. You know, and that kind of chess really basically gives your opponent the initiative all the time. And I like being the one with the initiative. I like being the one sacrificing pawns. I like being the one opening the position. Having active pieces. So yeah, so this was a quick draw, but again, for a 23, I think it's 2330 or something, 2330 versus a 2660, over 300 rating points difference. It's a really nice little draw for Mendiza Farai. So after this draw, he had 3.5 out of 4, and then he played against another GM in the 5th round, and he had 4 out of 5. So that's a really strong tournament so far. I'm hoping he gets a GM norm. This guy, like I say, he's been around for a while. He's not old or anything. I'd love to have a chat with him at some point. Maybe I should get him on the show or something as well. Just to find out a little bit more about his life in the U.S. He might have something to do with the Gary Kasparov Foundation. Gary has been helping a lot for the African players, it seems, as well. Okay, so that was the game. I just wanted to show you a quick picture, little gangster, just because Jababa's not the only one. It's apparently he's not the only one. How's that? How's that for a picture? That is Mendiza Farai. From Zimbabwe, by the way. He's from Zimbabwe. I like this picture, of course, because you can see the chessboard in the shades. So yeah, so he's had the shades idea as well. That picture was taken that was taken a long time ago, because that was still in Africa. It's not in the States anywhere. Okay, guys, what time is it? What time we got? Hey, we did it in less than an hour. Well done. Okay, so that was the show for today. I'll see you guys in a little bit over an hour, I think, for some more tactics. I want to see if I can get my tactics over 3,000. That's the goal. That's the goal of the show, is we're going to go for 3,000 in tactics, okay? We are currently at 2364, and we're going to keep pushing. Keep pushing and just slowly building up. If we can get like 50 rating points every show, every day, hey, we can get there quickly. Okay, thanks guys. I'll see you guys in a bit.